Good morning, everyone. May I begin by thanking our distinguished Ambassador Rahm Emanuel and his staff for facilitating a wonderful visit, productive visit to Japan. As Speaker, it is my honor to lead this distinguished congressional delegation here to Japan as a cornerstone ally, and our good friend in this very important region. This distinguished delegation, following the lead of our great president, President Biden, who made a tremendous focus on the Asian Pacific as very important in many areas, in terms of security, in terms of economics, and in terms of governance. This trip is to follow through with that and to establish Congress's role in it. In addition to which, listening and learning, we visited Singapore to discuss security, economics, and governance, to listen, to learn, to share views. Next, we went to Malaysia. We were again in another country, welcomed in a very positive way. And I say when we were welcoming the President's initiative, because that is much of what we were representing. Next, we went to Taiwan. Again, security, economics, and governance. Had very positive meetings there, and I'll come back to that. Next, we went to South Korea to pay our respects to our 28,000 troops who are there and their families, to thank them for their courage and thank the government for their hospitality. We visited Panmunjom, and again, focused a great deal on the threat of North Korea in terms of their aggression, their possible aggression. And now we're in Japan. This morning we had a very impressive meeting, impressive from our standpoint of the Prime Minister, congratulating him on his successes already in terms of security, economy, and governance. You may be more interested in, again, what the Chinese did while we were traveling, and we have said from the start that our representation here is not about changing the status quo here in Asia, changing the status quo in Taiwan. It's about, again, the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S.-China policy, all of the pieces of legislation and agreements that have established what our relationship is, to have peace in the Taiwan Straits and to have the status quo prevail. To that end, as you see, the Chinese made their strikes, probably using our visit as an excuse. Let me close by saying this. The Chinese have tried to isolate Taiwan, keeping them most recently from the World Health Organization by not even letting their participation be on the agenda of the World Health Agency, whatever that makes these determinations. They may try to keep Taiwan from visiting or participating in other places, but they will not isolate Taiwan by preventing us to travel there. We've had high-level visits, senators in the spring, a bipartisan way, continuing visits, and we will not allow them to isolate Taiwan. They are not doing our travel schedule. The Chinese government is not doing that. Our friendship with Taiwan is a strong one. It is bipartisan in the House and the Senate, overwhelming support for peace and the status quo in Taiwan. With that, I want to just say how honored I was to travel with our delegation. We were more like 6 co-chairs of the delegation. We are coming to Asia. One of our members born in India, another whose parents were, that would be Mr. Raja Krishnamurthy, another member whose parents were born in South Korea, another who is Japanese American, proudly so. All of us representing the beautiful diversity of Asia in our states, and in my case, in my district. When it came to security, you'll hear from our members. Economy, we have the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee to talk about that, and trade and possible continuation of our discussions about a trade agreement in the region. But you'll hear directly from them, and I thank you for your interest in our trip. It's about, again, security. We never can or have a CODEL unless we talk first and foremost about honoring our oath to protect and defend. Security first, economics tied in with that, as well as governance. In all cases, each of the countries we visited, we had very positive conversations and great respect for what they are doing in their countries, great candor in how we thought each of us could do better in our countries, and we were very honored to be received so well in the region. And again, we are two big countries. We have to have communication among us. When I was a little girl, I was told at the beach if I dug a hole deep enough, we would reach China. So we've always felt a connection there. But the fact is, I have said it again and again, if we do not speak out for human rights in China because of commercial interest, we lose all moral authority to speak out about human rights any place in the world. We're trying to find our common ground. China has some contradictions, some progress in terms of lifting people up, some horrible things happening in terms of the Uyghurs. In fact, it's been labeled a genocide. So again, we must work with China on issues that relate to the climate crisis, being two of the biggest emitters, and we can learn a lot from China in that regard, but we also have to work together for some decisions in that way. So again, it isn't about our visit determining what the U.S.-China relationship is. It's a much bigger and longer-term challenge, and one that, again, we have to recognize that we have to work together in certain areas.
So it's not going to change how we in Congress, particularly in the House of Representatives, how we deal with China. It's going to continue. We've done nothing different than what we've been doing previously, and we will continue to do the same.
Thank you very
If I
much.
might just add that in the House and in the Senate, Democrats and Republicans overwhelmingly support the status quo in Taiwan. 25 senators, Republican senators, signed a letter supporting our visit, and their legislation in both houses in support of that. So this isn't about my agenda or what do I think. This is about how we have candor in our relationship.